kind of obvious.
And I'm sorry, but first of all, the
What?
guys saying this,
Yeah.
let's see your pictures.
Exact. This isn't. Yeah, this was like a whole thing on Twitter.
Hi, and welcome to the SaVeg Podcast.
I'm Rose, also known as Cheap Lazy Vegan on YouTube.
And I'm Daniel, one of your favorite guest stars on Cheap Lazy Vegan's YouTube channel.
We're two friends who love to talk about the latest trending topics.
So get comfortable and join us while we give our savage take on just about everything.
You are currently listening to the previous episode of this podcast, but if you would like to listen to this week's episode and get some exclusive content, go over to patreon.com/thesavagepodcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the SaVeg Podcast.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing, Rose?
Oh, God, guys, if you could only hear the things that Daniel says to me before we start recording.
To get Rose in the mood, you know?
We had a little bit of a argument just now.
Lover's quarrel.
Unfortunately, I don't get any of the benefits of a lover. We just get the quarrel.
Oh, God damn. God damn.
Anyway, hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode. It's going to be a fun time.
It is going to be a fun time. It's literally a week until we're potentially leaving. I
don't know. You might be kicked off this trip based on your behavior today.
So I should probably cancel my flight, guys, at this point.
I mean, you can still go. You can just do your own thing, Daniel.
Maybe that's what I'll do.
I don't know if I want to share a room with you anymore.
Oh, God dang.
All right, guys. Anyway, it's fine. We're cool. I made Daniel apologize to me.
Yes.
He said something very mean. It was mean.
I was. And I apologize.
I forced you to. Is that really truly an apology?
No. I guess not. But I didn't mean it like a serious thing. And I think you took it the wrong way.
Oh, the gaslighting. Oh,
anyway,
interesting.
Anyway, guys.
Was that mansplaining or gaslighting, guys? I took it the wrong way.
It was gaslighting. Anyway, so unfortunately, there's no new Patreons. But
yes, guys. It's all your fault. I'm just kidding.
But if you haven't already, check out our Patreon page, guys. Patreon.com/thesavagepodcast. We do every episode there a week early, and you get exclusive content every single month, and you get access to a vast library of exclusive monthly episodes.
Bonus content. And this month was it this month? Or was it for July?
July. Yeah, this month.
Oh, goddamn, it's still July.
It is still July.
So July, we did a...
personality test.
Yeah. And we were testing how much we know each other. I know Daniel very well, according to the results of the test.
But I feel like the test was a little bit rigged, though.
Well,
because
Daniel's in denial, as always.
If you guys watch the video, you'll see like when we're doing the questions, we like did them for each other.
No.
And you can see that Daniel, if you look overall...
The quiz does not lie.
The quiz does.
The quiz does not lie.
Overall, the amount of questions that I got exactly the same as what Rose was saying, but for her, was way higher than the amount of questions that you
No, that's
got right
the assumption that you have, but we did not sit down and actually compare. And actually, for some of the ones, some of it was very off, Daniel, so that's probably what it was.
I don't agree. You guys will have to watch the video and decide for yourself.
Somebody do a tally.
Maybe make a tally. Yeah, do a tally and then you can come back to me.
Some of the ones that you got differently are the ones that made the difference.
Made a bigger difference. But that's why I think it's rigged. It's stupid.
It's not rigged.
It's a stupid test and I hate it.
Who's it rigged for, Daniel?
Women.
Interesting. Because the world is catered to women, right, Daniel?
It is.
Anyway. Should we start an alpha male podcast?
I think we should. Because there's not enough of them.
There's not enough.
There's, I don't know of any off the top of my head.
Well, I don't know of any that has a straight woman and a gay man as the hosts.
Being like an alpha male.
Yes. Yeah. Like a traditional values podcast.
Well, I feel like I'm not going to be like, I feel like neither of us are going to bring that masculine energy.
That's true. And also maybe I should just know my place. Right.
You should.
So.
No.
Daniel, you have no place as a gay man in this world. What's your place?
My place
according to the alphas of the world.
My place is strung is in a prison, shot. Oh, no. Or stabbed with a shank.
Yeah, I wonder if they disrespect women more or gay men. I wonder what it was. Oh, it's a tough one.
It's a tough one because the women they attack.
But then they still want.
Yes, they still have that desire, that sexual desire there. Whereas gay men are just considered garbage to them.
But a lot of them are closeted, so
This is true.
they might actually enjoy the men more.
This is very true. So guys, the first story that I wanted to talk about, it's a little bit of a non-story, but I feel like it's making headlines everywhere.
Yes.
Rose and I decided to take the leap of faith, and we went and watched it.
That's very dramatic. We just went to watch a movie.
Add a little bit of drama to this podcast, Rose. The flair.
The drama started before we started recording. Too bad we weren't recording then, guys.
Well,
if only you could hear the things Daniel says to me.
I have it on video.
Oh, well, you're not going to post it. I know you won't.
I could leave it in if you would like.
No. Daniel, because you are still my friend, I would still like to shed you in a good light. So
okay, that's so sweet of you.
Let's
Rose.
not ruin your public image.
Thank you. But basically, we went to go see the Barbie movie.
Yes. Thoughts?
I was going to ask you your thoughts, Rose.
Well, we discussed it already, didn't we?
Not on the podcast.
Not on the podcast,
No.
but in person.
Yeah.
Okay. It was good.
Yeah.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I thought it was funny. It was obviously a lot of money went into it, clearly. Yeah. The set was like beautiful. It was very Barbie-esque.
Yep.
You know, I thought that the concept was like good generally. I think it's a bit overhyped. That's my personal view. People make it seem like it's like, I don't know, like maybe I'm just cynical.
No, but
what do you think?
Honestly, again, it wasn't a bad movie. I enjoyed it. Like, it was like, it's one of those movies that you watch, you're like, okay, cool, that was a good movie. Was it a fantastic movie? No. Was it like...
A lot of people think it is.
I know. Was it like mind-blowing? No. It was like an easy watch movie, basically. It's like one of those like, kind of like feel good, like kind of cheesy, but like, you know, overall the story was pretty decent. Like, it wasn't terrible. It was a good movie. But I agree. I think it has been so overhyped.
They spent a lot of money on marketing.
Huge. They were saying that in this article, it says that they're soon going to reach the $1 billion club. So apparently Barbie has exceeded all expectations and has like blown through the box office.
Really? Okay.
And I think it was its second week or its second weekend was last weekend maybe.
Yeah.
And again, they've like hit records.
Right.
Yeah.
I think it's like the high, I mean, this could be wrong, but I think it's like from a female director, it's like the highest grossing movie or something.
It is. Yeah.
Right.
It's the highest grossing debut from a female
interesting.
director. Yeah.
It's her debut film?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she's had films before.
After achieving the biggest ever U.S. box office debut for a movie by a female director.
I think that just means like box office debut.
Oh, like when it got released.
When the movie came out, it's a debut, but not a debut for the director. I don't think that's what it means.
Okay.
Anyway, either way.
Yeah.
I guess it's a huge deal.
Well, and I think too, like people are making it seem, and I don't know, this is just my take on it, about how it's like so controversial and like.
Well, the thing is, it's not controversial, but it's the conservative people that are saying it's that are making it controversial. Mm-hmm. So the thing is, obviously, it has a certain messaging. I'm sure a lot of you guys have seen it already. Yeah. I guess we won't ruin it.
Yeah, we're not gonna ruin it.
Not that like anything crazy happens in terms of there isn't like some crazy plot twist.
No. But
either way, it has like a very feminist agenda essentially. So. I mean, should we explain it a little bit?
No, I don't think we should go because you guys go watch it.
Yeah, you can go watch it.
I think the thing is, even from the beginning, you had these like two worlds. I'm not gonna go into too much detail about it, but one world was dominated by females. Yes. And the other one dominated by males. Yes. But it's interesting, like there was never a middle ground. Do you know what I mean? Like,
but I think that's the criticism. But I think at the end that was the kind of consensus, no? Because at the end when they were like kind of talking, well, I mean obviously they're not going to go from okay, so basically Barbie world is like dominated by women, obviously Barbie world, and then like the real world is the patriarchy, right? And then the thing is, so they anyway at the end, I can't explain it without giving it away.
I know that's
basically
true.
I think at the end they did kind of like have a little bit of a discussion, like the part where there was definitely some parts where you kind of felt for the Ken. I don't know how much to describe it. Oh, you felt for the Kens a little bit because basically, I mean, I think this part is fine to say. Basically, in Barbie world, Ken is like the secondary character, which is kind of how it is in because Barbies are made for girls, and Barbie is the main thing, whereas Ken is like kind of the afterthought of Barbie. And that they kind of play that out in the, in the Barbie world in that aspect. Mm-hmm. And then later on, anyways, like basically I felt like there was that conversation after things start to change. Ken like talks to Barbie when Ken's like, you know, being the new Ken.
Yeah.
And then he starts to talk to Barbie. And then he's like, how does that feel?
Yeah.
So I felt like that part was a little bit like,
yeah,
you know, oh, now we're seeing, you know, like
the
how
other
it
side.
feels
Yeah.
to be on the other side. And I thought at the end, I think the reason why we didn't see a complete, you know, mixture of the two worlds is because it was just the beginning of just getting things back to the way it was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think like eventually, you know, I thought the premise was that eventually it will lead to a world where there is more equality. I don't know if I'm describing this well, because it's hard to like say things without spoiling it.
Without a spoiler alert.
But basically, I think a lot of people, when they watched it, especially conservatives, they thought this is a man-hating movie.
Yeah.
It's just like, fuck the man, blah, blah, blah.
But
I don't think that's necessarily what I was getting.
It's not, because like even with Ken, and I think this isn't revealing too much, but there's a scene where Ken goes, well, at the beginning, Barbie says, Ken's like, hey, can I stay over? Basically.
Right.
And she goes, no, I'm really sorry. It's girls' night tonight.
Yeah.
And actually, it's girls' night every single night. And
Yes.
he was just like, oh. And then later, there's like a flip where he goes, it's boys' night every night. He's like, how do you feel? How does that make you feel?
Yes. Okay. So basically, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I don't feel like that's revealing too much.
I mean, sure. I mean, I feel like it's fine. It's not revealing too much.
Yeah.
And then I think at the very end, there was like a moment where Barbie does say something like, it didn't have to be girls' night every night.
Yeah, she does.
So that's what I mean by I feel like there's a little bit of a resolution.
Yeah.
We don't see the full resolution because obviously things like that would take, I mean, obviously if we were to take this literally, if we were to actually get full equality, it would take many, many years.
Yeah.
But we do see some level of, you know, understanding of both sides, I think. Anyway, well, look at us dissecting this
Damn, getting deep into Barbie.
So anyway, I thought it was, I thought it had a good message. Overall, like, I did like the message.
Yeah.
I liked the movie. Again, like we said, I didn't think it was like, oh my God, my mind is blown, I'm in tears. Like a lot of people are like, you know, very emotional about it.
Yeah.
I didn't have that reaction.
Yeah.
But
I think also a big part of why so many people did enjoy it, though, is like when you think of Barbie, you think of this like ditzy blonde,
Yes.
like you think of like something really like dumb. I know that sounds really bad, but like
Yes.
that's what you think of, like really cheesy and really like stereotypical, like this is what women's supposed to look like,
Yes.
blah, blah, blah. So I think the movie in that respect, like a lot of people probably went in thinking, oh, it's going to be some like, you know,
Yes.
misogynistic kind of like,
sure. Like,
you know,
oh, look at these Barbies
Yeah.
being so stupid.
exactly. Like, and then they realized it wasn't. And when that
That's
happened,
true.
they were like, holy shit, like this
That's true.
actually had like more of a message to it than just like, you know, dumb Barbies.
That's true. Which
know?
also, you know, that's a good point because maybe that is one of the reasons why it's so popular because I think this is my assumption is that it's made for people that played with Barbies when they were kids.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily a kids movie, although it is like it can be seen by kids.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's necessarily meant for kids.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
No, there was definitely undertones where it was like stuff in there that's
Oh, yeah.
for adults.
There
for
were some
sure.
jokes in there for sure for adults. And I think it's rated like PG-13, which
Yeah.
basically means like it's technically for adults, but kids can watch it with parental supervision,
Yeah.
right? So I think maybe the reason why people, you know, it is seen as a very like progressive feminist sort of movie, even though I thought a lot of the messaging was quite, I don't want to say obvious, but
Yeah.
very like standard talking points essentially, right? Like, oh, like Barbie, like you have that teenage, you know, angsty teenager that's like, fuck you, Barbie, you ruined everything. Ma, 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 ma.
Yeah.
And then I don't know if again, spoiler.
Spoiler alert,
Sorry guys, we're just going to say some spoilers. Yeah. But then, so anyways, I thought it was like a very, I don't want to say low hanging fruit because that sounds like an insult, but it was more so, to me, it was like a more of an, you know, just a very kind of surface level, maybe that's also the wrong word.
surface
level
movie.
feminism, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. Like, no, not surface level movie. Anyway, but then I do think that what you say is actually quite a good point because I think a lot of, you know, women, generally just women and women's toys even, and women's interests are always, you know, dumbed down by society. We think, oh, Barbie is just this stupid doll,
Yeah.
you know? So it was kind of nice. It is nice to see that there was more of a meaning.
Yeah, especially even for the main character who is superficial Barbie.
Exactly.
You know, like standard Barbie or whatever.
Stereotypical
Barbie, exactly. And she's the one that kind of had a lot of growth within it, right? And I do think, though, another reason, and we talked about this earlier, why it was so successful is the amount of money that they pumped into marketing.
Oh, yeah, of course.
It has been marketed crazily.
And the cast.
Yeah.
Come on now.
The cast as well. But like even now, like if you Google Barbie on Google, like all of these little pink stars come up and stuff. Like they've
like, spent millions.
Like just so much money in marketing.
Yeah.
And also the fact that it's like a childhood toy that's like renowned. You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
I think that all like
it all adds to it. But yeah, a lot of people are, you know, very touched by this movie. Which fair.
Did you feel touched, Rose?
I mean, there were moments. There was like one part which I won't give away. There's like a monologue by this woman that kind of talks about the intricacies of being a female, or you know the difficulties and the how women can never win kind of thing. Essentially, I teared up during that little monologue there.
Is that when someone in the theater went woo?
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because I was like, it's so true. Like women, I'm sure men have their own struggles. Okay,
Yeah.
I'm not saying men don't have struggles.
Struggle is real.
Gay men, it's a different story. Okay.
Struggle's real.
But for women, you know, this is the struggle that we can relate to. So I
Struggle
think
is also real.
the struggle's always real. So that part was quite nice. But again, it was kind of even that speech, although it was good to hear and it felt very like cathartic. It was still like quite. It wasn't something I've never heard before.
Yeah. It wasn't groundbreaking.
Yes, that's the term I wanted to use.
Yeah.
None of this is something I've never heard before. It was very kind of like, as long as you're in these or you're aware of feminist viewpoints and things like that, you've heard all of these things before. But at the same time, do I think it was bad? No, I think it was a good movie. I just think it wasn't like, for me, it wasn't, oh my God, this is life changing.
Yeah.
Anyways, what is the backlash, Daniel? That's our review of Barbie. So what do you give it out of 10?
Solid 7 probably.
Oh god damn, you'd be a harsh critic.
Maybe 8. I don't know, because I'm like I liked it. I enjoyed it. It's to me it was an easy watch.
Yes, it was a cute watch.
Yeah, a cute watch. It was fun, but I just don't think that it was like a movie, at least from my perspective, that like again it didn't bring any new ideas forward. It wasn't like groundbreaking, you know.
Which is so funny though, but because to us it seems so maybe surface level or whatever, but then the conservative outrage of it all. I know. So one of the arguments that one of my friends said is like, you know, because other people have said the same criticism. I mean, it's not even a criticism. Obviously it's not a criticism. It's more like that's just how we feel about the movie. But basically my friend was like, well, if you think that right now, like it's surface level arguments right now and it's very like obvious sort of feminist, you know, ideas. Yeah. And the conservatives are going this crazy over that. Imagine if we went any deeper. But then I feel like if we went deeper and there was more like hidden, here's what I would say. I kind of prefer, this is my personal preference, I prefer movies where there's a little bit more of like a metaphoric sort of messaging rather than something that's just so blatantly in your face, like talking about the patriarchy and talking about like, it was very obvious messaging. Yeah. And this is just my personal preference. I like movies that are a little bit more like hidden, where you have to find the hidden messaging and like, oh, this is why I like Parasite, for example, where it's not like, yes, it is kind of obvious, but also it's not blatantly being like, this person's poor. Yeah. This person's rich. You know?
But it's also those movies where there's so many undertones of messaging as well, where little things are symbolic.
Exactly. That's what I like.
You have to try to like depict it and be like, oh, did it mean something? Is there symbolism as to why that family was living in the basement?
Exactly.
And then the movie's title, Parasite, like they're living off this, you know, like you
That's what I like.
You start to build all of these things where it's not like just so in your face. It's like, you know, this happened and this happened. And this is how women feel about it. And men. You know, so there has been I don't want to say there's been backlash, but I definitely think
there's been backlash.
I definitely think
like Ben Shapiro made an entire video, of course he did. You know, he is the way he is. Yeah.
I mean, he doesn't even know how to please a woman. Okay, let's not even go there, Ben Shapiro. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. People are just basically saying it's a man-hating movie. I think these people don't know how to like. They really think they were very surface level because it's like I didn't think it was a man-hating movie.
They didn't see the actually it was a plea, or not a plea, but it was like kind of there was undertones for both. You know what I mean? To say, hey, either
you
way,
felt bad for both of them.
Exactly, and I think
in different times.
Exactly, and I think either way, the extremes were not necessarily good. Do you know what I mean? Like
totally.
Some party. It's interesting because you see the Barbie world where all the Barbies are in power and Ken's kind of an afterthought. And Ken mentioned when they went to the real world, again, not giving away too much, but he was like, I felt special. Like someone asked me for the time. People actually see me here. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like both. It just showcases like.
I feel like the movie, and I think they did it on purpose. Everything is very exaggerated, right?
Yeah.
So which is another reason why it was very like in your face and obvious.
Yeah.
Which is just, I think that's just like a director, that's just like a choice from the director. And some people might like that, some people might not. Yeah. Clearly a lot of people like it. Yeah. And also some people hate it.
Well, and you know what got me? Was it you that was telling me about how there was some guys on social media and stuff that are saying that Margot Robbie was like, what did they say? That she's
mid.
Yeah. Who the fuck says Margot Robbie's mid?
By the way,
I'm
guys,
sorry.
If you're not a Gen Z, which neither of us are, and if you don't spend that much time on the internet, mid is basically the Gen Z term for like average, kind of. Yeah. Which, I mean, it's kind of obvious.
And I'm sorry, but first of all, the guys saying this, let's see your pictures.
Exactly. This was like a whole thing on Twitter. I think before this movie even came out, people were like, oh my God, like she's very mid. This is Margot Robbie without makeup. She's mid. I'm like, are you like, what are you on? She's like one of the most beautiful people I've ever seen.
I was like, if she's mid, I've lost all hope.
She's so like good looking.
I know. I'm like, I'm now below the sea level.
Oh my God.
Damn, if she's mid,
it's absolutely insane.
I
and
know.
Also even just like having those conversations, it's like, why? What is the purpose? Like, I think it's also Instagram brain, like we discussed. I feel like it's very much, we're so used to seeing exaggerated, filtered, photoshopped photos of people looking like literal Barbies. Yeah. So a real person, even though she has all this makeup on and all this stuff, still seems mid.
I know, which is crazy.
It's just so crazy.
Well, it's like they were saying, like on one of, I can't remember which RuPaul's Drag Race it was, but there was a couple of the queens that were like Instagram famous. And when they showed up on the TV set, they were like, their makeup like was pretty harsh, and it was like, because they'd done it for like Instagram, like taking pictures
for the
and
lights like this.
Exactly. Whereas like when you're on a TV set, it's completely different. And even the judges were like commenting on this one girl's makeup, and they were like, just let you know, like your makeup is very harsh. Like in this lighting, it doesn't look good.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and so they had to like kind of soften it and learn to be able to like do it for the cameras because they're so used to like using the filters.
Just doing it for like the phone, like taking pictures. Yeah. Well, that's what they say about a lot of beauty gurus as well. Like a lot of people that just do makeup tutorials. A lot of people are like you shouldn't even follow these tutorials because they're under this harsh lighting, like this bright light, like exactly, we are under. And it's basically stage makeup, you know, essentially, because you know that's not what you would wear in real life, and the things that you can pick up on the camera you couldn't pick up on camera, you can see it in real life. You can see the pores, you can see, you know, all the little indents in your face. And then if you put on too much makeup on top, it can like exacerbate all the little.
Do you know what always blows my mind about makeup though, and especially like more so in the drag world, but also just in general, how people like, because your face is only so big, right? Like your face is, you know, you've got a little bit of
surface area,
square footage, you know, on your face, and people can spend like 5-6 hours doing makeup.
It's art, Daniel.
But I'm like, but there's only so much surface area. Like, what are you doing? Are you?
What if you were making? It's not about the size, you know. It's because sometimes you make like little miniature. Like it's about the details.
It's not about the size, hey. But
it's the details.
But I feel like you're right. If it was like intricate, like really funky makeup, I'd understand. But if it's just like you're beating your face and making your, you know what I mean?
First of all, no one is doing makeup for 5 hours to do just regular makeup.
True.
Okay, so like let's just put that out there. Okay. And I don't even know how many people are actually doing makeup for 5 hours. I would assume maybe drag queens are doing it for a few hours. I bet you it's not 5 hours though. Maybe for the entire outfit and everything.
God, it just seems like such a long time.
It is a long time, but again, it's art. Yeah. It's a painting. You don't rush art, Daniel.
That's true.
I mean, you wouldn't know that because you're not very artsy.
Thanks for that, Rose. get those digs in while you can.
Oh, I had to get that in there, guys. You should have heard what he said to me before.
Rose is clawing back. I do think that one day, well, it's like just randomly, I want to get a drag queen to do my makeup. just to see what I would look like.
Why don't you try to do it
face.
yourself, Daniel?
There's no way. I can, I can barely put on like eyeliner or something, like I don't have very like dexterous like fingers. So it's like hard for me to do like really, what are they called?
Like we discussed, you're good at a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
Artistic endeavors, not one of them.
You also never told me. You remember you said, Daniel, I'm going to make you dinner for something, helping me with something. And you still haven't told me what it is.
Oh, I'll tell you later.
You can't tell me right now?
It's literally nothing. It's just, guys, I just needed a man's help,
Oh my God.
I need a man's help for something.
Oh, God damn.
So I asked Daniel and then he got scared.
I did.
It's nothing crazy.
Okay.
It's very easy, Daniel, especially for a man. You should be able to do it in 2 seconds. Unlike me, I'm just a helpless little girl.
Well, us men, we like to feel feel needed,
Well, that was Daniel's favorite part of the Barbie movie.
It was classic. It was classic. Because there was this scene, because Rose is always like, straight men, you just have to like be a damsel in distress sometimes for them because they need to feel that like need, like that they're needed.
You have to make them feel needed.
Yeah, and that they're like a big, strong man, And there was like this whole segment in the Barbie movie where the girls have to go up to the guys and be like, oh, I forgot how to log into my computer. I'm so stuck. I'll help you, babe. Don't even worry. Ken's got this. And it was like every 2 minutes, oh my God, help me with this. And it was like
so funny.
And I was like, if it's in a movie, it's clearly like a thing. Do you know what I mean?
It's most definitely a thing.
Yeah.
It's definitely a thing. Men love to feel like, you need them.
Did you hear about this story about Cardi B?
Oh, I saw a video.
I saw the video as well.
Yeah. So Cardi B fan reports battery after rapper threw microphone at her in Vegas. But then, okay, didn't she throw like food at her first?
This is the thing. Cardi B fought back when a rude fan decided to fling, because basically on the video you can actually see it, and it looked like it was like champagne or something,
or some sort of a drink.
Yeah, some sort of drink was like thrown on her while she was up on stage.
Yeah.
So obviously she lost it and was like, "What the fuck?"
And like, I saw the comments, and then everyone's like, I mean, she should know better than to throw something at Cardi B.
I know.
Like that ain't Britney Spears, girl.
No.
That is not.
Cardi B.
She will fight back.
She will fight back. She's from, I think she's from the Bronx or somewhere.
Yeah, she will like, fight back.
She's from the hood.
She's a strong, independent woman.
She is definitely. And she doesn't take shit from no one. So listen to this. In a now viral video, Cardi B is seen retaliating quickly when a concert goer standing at the edge of the stage tosses up contents of a large white cup, splashing her face and soaking her orange swimsuit cover up as she performed her #1 hit. She berated the individual as security retrieved her microphone and appeared to remove the fan from the show. Yeah.
The video has 68 million views.
That's insane.
That's absolutely insane. Yeah. So I guess now she's being... Oh, the fan filed a police report for battery.
That's bullshit, though. I'm sorry.
That's a lot.
Like, I'm like, you know what? At the end of the day, and there's kind of good that there's a video because people can see, okay, why did you throw your drink at her? Like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Yeah, no.
Not saying that 2 wrongs make a right, but like, if someone's throwing a drink at me and I happen to throw a microphone at them in retaliation, I don't think I should get charged.
I don't know. Did she get hurt?
Potentially. I mean, a microphone in the head would hurt.
Oh, Lord Jesus. It says, this trend of attending female artists sets just to attack them is disgusting, and I hope everyone participating gets that energy back. Okay, somebody wrote this. And then a lot of people are on Cardi B's side.
Yeah, it looks like it.
I mean, fair.
Yeah. I kind of am on Cardi B's side.
Yeah, I mean, don't throw things at someone. Like, what the fuck?
Well, also, too, like, I think these big events and concerts that these celebrities are doing, like... There's an element of danger involved, right? Like you've heard about like these crazy like stalker fans that people have, and like so when you're going there, obviously there's a lot of amp, you're excited, but there's also in the back of your mind like this, any situation can get out of control with that many people, right? And basically, this is kind of what happened, and well, this person throwing a drink at Cardi B, like it's just like don't do that. Like what's wrong with you? Like don't if someone throws a drink at someone in a bar, like someone's gonna get pissed off.
Exactly.
Like just what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. And it's not like she went and beat her to pieces.
Exactly. She didn't
She basically did the same thing back, maybe with a slightly harder object.
Exactly. Like obviously I would argue if she pulled out a gun and shot her in the head, like that's a little different. That's like extreme. Then I can see why she would get charged.
Yeah. The punishment has to fit the crime.
Exactly. It has to like balance out.
I think in this case, it was pretty balanced.
Yeah.
She threw what she had in her hand.
Yeah.
It's not like if she had a glass of water in her hand, she probably would have
gone like this. Yeah, she'd been like, "Fuck you, bitch."
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I think the fans probably just trying to get some money, to be honest with you.
Probably.
Yeah.
But like again, why?
I don't know.
Just
people have no life.
Be a normal human being and not throw shit and just be,
Yeah, maybe they wanted to go viral.
That's probably, they've succeeded.
Well, it worked.
Yeah.
But nobody knows who it was, though.
Exactly. It's a viral sensation,
damn,
if you will.
Daniel. Imagine.
God
That's how you go down in history. I threw a drink in Cardi B's face, and she threw a fucking microphone back at me. Lord Jesus. So our next story, well, actually, Rose kind of found this story. I found what story?
Remember the one with the friends that all purchased a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, well, are we going to open the article?
Oh, God damn,
Daniel. Yeah. So I saw this I saw this on social media.
Yeah.
I think it was on Instagram. And it was basically this story. And I sent it to Daniel. And Daniel's like, we have to talk about this.
Yeah.
So basically, it's 7 Chinese girlfriends buy mansion to retire and die together. So this group of women decided that they decided to buy a house, like a big, really nice looking fucking house.
Yeah.
And they're going to move in and basically retire together.
Yeah.
This is my dream.
So the reason it came up is because like basically over this weekend I had like a bunch of people at my house.
Right.
I have like a roommate right now. I had friends. I have friends coming and staying. So it's like a very, pardon me, full house. And as much as it's a little bit hectic, I like said to Rose, I was like, I kind of like having all these people around. Like,
yes.
It kind of, I mean, obviously I'd want my own room because I was sleeping in the living room to let my friends take the room or whatever. But I was like, it's kind of nice to have that like that feeling of just like having people around that you know and like.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Well, I was telling Daniel, I was like, I like living alone, but my idea of like a perfect situation would be I live alone in my own apartment, but then like literally right next door are like my friends or like my family. You know what I mean? Just like people that I'm close with, my family, friends are close by. That's the ideal situation.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't even mind living in the same household as long as, you have your own like privacy.
Yeah.
And a certain level of, your own space.
Yeah. I think the hardest thing would be like what these ladies are doing. Like I think it would be fun to have this space, and it's a big house. Like it's
huge.
7,537
Holy
square feet.
Shit.
So like each of them is getting like
has 1,000 square. So they each have basically an apartment.
Like the size of your apartment.
Yeah, essentially. That's huge. So basically they got a 7,500 square foot house in the suburbs of Guangzhou, a major city in southeastern China near Hong Kong. And basically first it started out as like a joke apparently, and then they like realized like, oh, why don't we just do it? So they like bought this place, and I think they bought it before, like I don't even know if they're living there yet. But they definitely bought it like before retirement to like get it all like set up. It looks so beautiful. I saw some pictures of it and it looks so nice. Yeah. And what a dream.
I know. I think honestly, like that's one thing that's like starting to get missed in our society right now is like having that connection, like
community.
Exactly. Like we both live in condos, like me and Rose, and it's like I kind of know my neighbors, but I don't really know them that well. And like
I literally know no one.
Exactly. Like I think honestly, like if what would be really good is if a lot of these condos started doing like more like events and stuff to help you like meet other people in the building. Like how cool would it be if like you knew your neighbor next door, or you go knock on their door like, hey, fancy a bottle of wine? Or
I think it's also just overall. It can't just be fixed by that kind of stuff. But yeah, you're right. Like those would be really nice.
Yeah.
But I think it's an overall kind of cultural shift where we're taking, especially here in North America, where it was already an individualistic culture. And now we're taking that and like it's become the extreme.
Yeah.
So now it's like it's not normal for us to like knock on our neighbor's door and like do this and this and this.
Or ask for sugar or something.
Exactly.
In the old days, they just go ask the neighbor for some sugar and some milk.
So yeah, I think especially people our age, like our parents my parents like know their neighbors like near them. Not that they like really hang out, but like they kind of know each other. They say hi or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think, and I guess if we lived in a house, like maybe we would talk to our neighbors a little bit more. But I don't know. I think it's just this cultural shift where we're just used to not speaking to each other.
I know. Well, the weird thing is, like, I think I've said this on the podcast before. So, like, where my aunt and uncle live in London,
right?
Every year at Christmas time, I think it's Christmas Eve that they do this. I can't remember if it's Christmas Eve or Boxing Day, one of the two, where they have like a kind of Christmas party where people can drop in and leave and come and go as they please, and they invite all the neighbors. So, like,
maybe you should do that, Daniel.
All the neighbors come around. Maybe I will.
I think you should.
Just invite people, like, left, right, and center. Like,
just keep the door open.
Yeah.
Why not? Put a little note on everyone's door. You're invited.
I'm having a massive party at my house.
Yeah. I think, well, I saw this, the more I live, the longer I live, I realize that, we're really getting to a point where we're all just very isolated. And it's becoming very normalized, and it's a bit scary because I was actually reading some of the comments under this post where people were talking about this whole story. Yeah. And God, like some of the top comments, I was just like, "Fuck, we have no hope. Humanity has no hope."
What was some of the comments?
It was like, "Oh, 7 women living together, good luck." Like, oh, and then soon they're gonna start fighting, blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, first of all, not like other people in other dynamics don't fight.
Yeah, exactly.
Excuse me, like, do you think like a man and a woman living together are not fighting?
Or a man and a man, a woman and a woman?
Like this idea, I hate this notion that women don't get along. I fucking hate it. I hate it so much. I think it's such a fake sort of thing. I think people will butt heads.
Yeah.
But women tend to have generally stronger friendships with other women, which is probably why they might butt heads more, because if there's no friendship to butt heads with, you're not going to fucking butt heads.
Damn, Roses.
So I hate the narrative that women are just catty and they fight and they're bitchy. Like, I don't like fight with my girlfriends. I fight with you more.
That's true. We had a fight right before this podcast. We had a fight right before this podcast.
Daniel, we need to move on from this. You don't want to come back to that.
I don't.
You
I really
really
don't.
love to beat a dead horse.
I do.
Anyway, yeah, some of the comments were like that. Some of it was like, oh, like, sounds awful, like, blah, blah, blah. Like, all of this, like, very just...
It is an archaic, like, it's such an archaic view to just be like, this particular demographic of people will fight more. And it's like, well, hang on a second. That's not necessarily true. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to say, oh, women are more catty. Women are going to fight more. Like, that's just not, people fight in general. Yeah. Like...
let me see if I can find
so
the
annoying.
comments. And it wasn't just about the fighting. It was like, just like comments about how it's like sad, or like, I don't know what it was. But I was just like, oh my God, there's no hope for humanity. Yeah, I think people have this like very... I mean, there was probably some comments about how like, oh, like these women are just going to live together, like blah, blah, blah. Just like people making comments about the way other people want to live their lives. It's fine if you don't want to live like this. Like, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
If, and
it's
I
not
think
for everyone.
Some of them have kids. Some of them have,
yeah.
like they've had families. Like, they're old. They've known each other for 20 years, it says.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like a lot of them, they were colleagues, and some of them are closer than siblings.
Yeah. So
really, I think this might work better than, some other dynamics, because this is a very active, conscious decision on their part, which is so different from the norm. So they had to like really make this decision without the influence of other people, which I feel like in other circumstances, a more traditional sort of trajectory, which is, I don't know, you meet your romantic partner, you get engaged, you live together, you get married, you have kids. That's the kind of like plan that we're expected to follow. So I think there's plenty of people that just follow that plan without really like thinking about it.
Yeah. Well, think about the people that like definitely isolate themselves more when they like end up moving really far to the city and
exactly. That's another thing.
Living in this like little, community by themselves, like all the time they're by themselves with their kids and with their husband. That's it.
Yeah. And especially when you're older as well. That's another thing. A lot of people get older and their kids move away. Yeah. Maybe they're divorced. Maybe they're not even divorced, but like they get really lonely.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because a lot of people like selfishly, they want to have kids because like they want to, especially for when they get older, they're like, we want to have that support.
That's a major reason for having kids.
They're like, we want to be able to like, when I become a grandparent, I want to be able to be social and have that family connection. When I'm older, so I don't like die faster and I'm alone. You know what I mean? Like, because they say loneliness in old people is like a big thing too.
Oh, it's a huge thing.
But it's like, it's interesting because a lot of it's because I remember, oh God, there was this advert in the UK that
Did it make you cry?
It was sad.
Oh no.
It was like for Christmas. This one department store does like a really famous commercial.
Oh god, well, Harrods? No,
Fenwick's or whatever. Fenwick's.
No, is it?
Yeah, I would look it up, but
the department store.
Yeah, it's a department store.
No, it's like a really
It's
common.
not Harrods. Harrods is a big department store, but that's not the one that does the commercial. Look up Fenwick. I think it's
Fenwick. Really?
Fenwick UK.
Maybe. Are they the one that have the commercials?
I think so.
Okay.
So they had this one commercial with like this weird penguin and like some other stuff going on, and it was about how like older people are like by themselves, and it was like a really sad commercial, and it was like the whole concept was like, you know, spend some time with your loved ones essentially. But it's interesting because a lot of those older people that are in homes now or like are being taken care of, like a lot of them would have grown up in this traditional mentality of having kids and stuff. So I'm sure a lot of them, maybe they don't all, but like a lot of them have kids that don't see them.
I know, it's actually really sad.
So it's like, and a lot of, especially nowadays, a lot of people move away from where their family is. Like, you know, it's more rare, or not more rare, but like, for example, unless you're from a big city, like if you're from a small town or something, you probably have to move away to get work, or you go somewhere else. Maybe you live abroad. Like the world's become a lot more open in that sense. And then you wouldn't see your family when they're older, you know? So actually having kids for that reason is it kind of not that great reason anymore?
Yeah.
Because,
especially anymore.
Yeah. Because it's like, you're going to be, you know, you have to make your own friends and form your own kind of like community as an older person, you know?
Absolutely. I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make, which I'm sure it's, you know, it's easy to make this mistake, is they have kids and then their kids become their entire life, right?
Yeah.
And that's like their entire point of their existence. And then they especially mothers, they, you know, because they're expected to, that's the kind of like social expectation, is that if you don't give everything to your children, you're a bad mother, like blah blah blah. So a lot of mothers, especially, I don't think it's the same for fathers, but maybe some fathers, a lot of mothers will lose their own independence, their own life. So then, and the problem with that is exactly what you said. It's like when kids grow up, they're going to have their own families, and we're not as traditionally living as even in those, you know, Asian countries that are still more traditional. It's still shifting. It's shifting. Yeah. So they're not necessarily going to live with you like your parents. Yeah. When they have kids, they're not going to be able to necessarily support their parents and their kids in this economy. Like, no way. So that's why it's so like important, and that's why I think it's so great that these women, you know, in the age of retirement, are like, fuck this. I'm not gonna like sit and like die alone and be lonely. Sure, I have kids, but like, why not be there with my friends that are basically like my siblings that I've known for fucking 20 plus years? Why not?
All sharing. I
love this idea.
I know. I don't think I'd like it to all be in one house. I like to have my own space, but I would love to, like, for example, my grandparents are friends with this family that live in Costa Rica. Yeah. And they have like a plot of land that they built this like kind of, it's like a fenced area with like a gate that you open up and stuff. And inside this plot of land, all of the siblings, they've built houses.
Oh, I love it.
So the whole family lives. And then in this land, they like, you know, they have fruit trees and all sorts of stuff. And like, it's a very like communal living space. And literally like, none of the houses are that fancy. They're like basic houses, but you just like walk 2 seconds and you're at your like.
I love it.
And all the cousins like know each other and grew up together. Yeah. Like, it's just like a very communal like space.
Yeah. So, and you could do that with your family, your friends, like whoever you want to do it with. I think that's awesome. Like, I actually really like it. And I think these people are probably going to be the happiest people, like those people living in those situations. And you're right. Like, maybe I don't necessarily want to share like every space. Like maybe I even want my own kitchen, my own bathroom, like everything. Yeah. Which is doable. You can still do that and still have communal areas and communal spaces. And
but even like think about like this building. Like, imagine if everybody that you knew, were your friends with,
this is my dream.
Like everyone was living in this building.
I just want all my friends. Maybe my parents, like the next building over. Like, love them, but like, you know, a little bit further.
Yeah. You don't want them to see all the shenanigans you get up to.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all the friends in this building.
Like, that would be so cool. I think it would be a little bit overwhelming though as well, because it'd be like all the time there'd be things going on. Like,
it'd be like living in a dorm, but like we have money now.
Yeah.
And you know, we have our own space. I think it would be amazing. I don't know why we don't make this more of like a thing. Yeah. Like, this needs to be a thing. Yes.
What do you guys think?
Daniel? Should we retire together at 60?
God damn, are you gonna be able to retire with me, Rose?
Well, as long as we have our own space, Daniel. As long as I can like yell at you and then leave.
Okay. Perfect. Speaking of parents, taking this.
You know, this is funny because my mom was actually talking to me about this today, and this kind of ties into the story.
It does. Yeah.
So you read the title down.
So the title is Chinese parents are paying their adult kids to be quote unquote full-time children.
So this is, my mom was actually talking to me about this, I think this morning.
Yeah.
So essentially, I guess, because again, in this economy, guys, and this is not just going to be a problem in China.
Yeah.
This is a big problem elsewhere as well. Young people are having a hard time finding jobs. And even if they find jobs, I don't know about this China story, but like even if they find jobs, it's so hard to buy a house.
Yeah.
It's so hard. Like we have friends that are living in major cities that have really great jobs, that are university level educated, and they can't buy a house.
And they're like that's just not on the horizon for me.
It just doesn't make any sense. So that's why it also doesn't make sense, this whole like, you know, I mean, and again, we're normalized to it now, like living alone and having your own apartment. It's very normal. Like you move out at a certain age, you get your own space, and that's the expectation. But then now we're in this dilemma where, you know, young people, even though they have university degrees, can't afford to live alone or can't buy a place. Well, so this is where this story comes in.
Yeah. And it's like, it even takes it one step further than that, because it's like, you're right. Like some people are getting jobs if they're lucky enough, but like, it's interesting to hear about, especially a country like China, which has been known to have this growing, exploding economy and like, you know, lots of opportunity from what we hear generally in the media, and how, you know, they are on track to like eventually surpass the US in terms of growth. But to hear that there actually is a very high youth unemployment in particular. And this is a problem in a lot of different countries.
Yes.
I was living in Spain for a while, and I remember there was a crazy stat. I can't remember what it was now, but it was something like under 30. So people like under 30 that, you know, recently graduated from university or, you know, just getting into the workforce, the unemployment rate was over 50% in that category.
50%.
So 50% of kids or young adults were unable to find work.
No, that's crazy.
Which is insane when you think about it. And like, so I don't think it's quite as high in China. Well, it says here, in June, the unemployment rate for Chinese people aged 16 to 24 was a staggering 21.3%, an all-time high. With 1 in 5 Chinese Gen Zers out of work, the full-time child arrangement of earning a living wage for doing simple chores or hanging out with mom and dad can be appealing. But also, you have to remember too, though, this is a privileged few, because there's a lot of parents that aren't going to be able to afford to pay their children to hang out with them, you know, like.
Well, it's interesting because I was also, when my mom was talking to me about this, I thought like China was like growing, and you know, China is like maybe where the US was in like the 70s. Like that's what I thought. Yeah. So I thought everyone must have lots of jobs, like blah, blah, blah. But clearly that isn't the case. And I guess they have a really bad youth unemployment rate, which is also a little bit like, is that surprising? I don't know.
Yeah. The thing is, I think that the thing that we have to remember with China, which I just kind of thought of.
There's just so many people.
There's just so many people there, right? Like if you think about it, yes, their economy might be growing. Yes, they might be like on track to surpass the US, but at the same time, there's just so many people there.
You know why I thought, you know, that yes, that is the case, but I thought because like so this is like basically people our age, a little bit younger, maybe, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, well, I guess they're a bit younger.
Yeah.
I still think I'm like fucking 25 apparently. So
I know you do.
Anyways, I thought that because they had that one child policy for however long, the population, the young people population is low. That's what I thought. In comparison to the older generation. Yeah. So my thought process was, maybe I'm completely wrong. My thought process was, you know, this is like the working generation. So if there's less young people that are working, isn't that a labor shortage? Like that's what I thought.
Yeah, but clearly not.
Clearly not. Yeah. I don't know where my thought process was.
It is wild though, because obviously this is happening in China. You have there's somebody that quoted, "I like cooking, so I cook lunch and dinner from Monday to Friday for my family."
Oh my god!
One full-time daughter. I guess they're still working, right? And my parents give me money without interfering with my life. I'm extremely happy every day.
I mean, that's cute.
It is cute, but at the same time, it's like, I wonder if and when we're ever going to hit a breaking point, because it's starting to get ridiculous now.
Yeah.
Like we're facing huge unemployment in like the youth. We're facing these rising costs. I was just talking to my friend the other day, and they're contemplating they need to get a new vehicle. They want to upgrade their vehicle basically.
Yeah.
But they're looking at used vehicles. They weren't even going to buy a new vehicle. And like they were saying, like a used vehicle now, like even a 2018 year, like average cost is like $40,000.
Yeah, I heard cars are really expensive.
I'm
right
like,
now.
what the fuck? So cars are expensive.
Everything's
houses are expensive, and then unfortunately for those that aren't able to get into the housing market, guess
Yeah.
what? Rent's also skyrocketing.
Yeah,
so you
it's
cannot,
very bad.
you can't get
win.
away from it. Like
You can't win. So yeah, I mean, living with your parents sounds great. I think it makes more and more sense now.
It does.
I saw this video of this woman. She was American, but she was saying how she's frustrated because she has kids like, you know, maybe 20, like early 20s or something, Gen Z kids.
Yeah.
And she's like, my kids are like well educated, and like I taught them like if you work hard, you can like succeed, blah blah blah. And they're having a really tough time. Like even, you know, rent is expensive. Like we said, like everything's so expensive. Buying a house seems completely like unreasonable. And so she's saying if she knew that this was going to be the way it was, then she would have done what who was it living in Costa Rica, like she would have bought a piece of land,
right, yeah,
and just like invested money into like just building homes for her kids.
Yeah.
Because like clearly going to school and paying all that money is not necessarily going to result in you being able to be successful.
Well, this is the thing. That's what we've all been fed, right? Like even us growing up, it's like you go to university, you get a degree. And I think we were the lucky kind of generation on the
I think
cusp.
so. We were slightly,
Yeah, because we were like a little bit ahead of that. But like the generation before us now or like after us, like the fact that they, you know.
And also we're in Canada.
Yeah.
So I think we're a little bit, like we're less extreme here.
Exactly. It is a little bit less extreme.
Although it's getting pretty bad here too.
Yeah, it is. But like a lot of people now are getting, and this was the issue in Spain as well. In Spain, a lot of people, because also you can pay low fees to go to university and stuff. Like in Europe, it's generally like cheaper anyway.
Yeah.
And so you can go to school for quite cheap. And people had multiple degrees there.
Yeah.
And
very
were unemployed.
well educated there.
Super well educated, but there's just no jobs or lack of jobs to support, you know? It's fucking crazy.
It's so crazy. Yeah. So I guess Chinese kids are just, you know, cooking for their parents. That's so funny.
Yeah.
Whereas, you know, like usually back in the day, it was the other way around. Maybe you let your parents live with you.
Yeah.
And then they cook for you. Like your mom makes you food. And then you just like support them for the rest of their lives. And now like literally kids are not able to support themselves.
Yeah.
Like grown kids. Like we're talking adults.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is too, the sad thing is some of these kids will get jobs, but their jobs don't make enough for them to support themselves.
Which is so crazy.
Like how crazy is that? You can get a full-time job and not be able to pay your rent.
Well, and back in the day, I was just thinking about my dad. So my dad is the oldest son in the family, which in the Korean traditional household, that's the person that takes care of the parents. This is traditional, okay? So my dad was the oldest son, and my dad, so because my dad was the oldest son, he had older sisters and stuff. And this is like back in the day, not everyone like had the privilege of education. So my dad was the only one initially that got through the entirety of university and everything. My aunts were not able to because my grandma wasn't able to support everyone.
Yeah.
So, but then my dad graduated university. He got a good job. My grandma lived with us until she passed away. I guess my mom was still working. So my mom was one of but usually in Korean culture, like my mom's generation, a lot of women did not work once they got married. But my mom was still a working woman because she'd be a strong, independent woman, you know? So my mom was still working. But then he like put my uncle through fucking like university. I think he paid for the university. He paid for the wedding.
Yeah.
Like he basically took on that kind of role.
Yeah.
Because my grandma was like, you know, she's older now, she's sick and blah, blah, blah. He took care of the grandma. This was possible.
Yeah.
And like, you know, we lived relatively decently. Like it wasn't, you know, that was possible. And my dad was like, at that time, probably like 30.
Yeah. But that's the thing now. It's like you cannot... with like a regular, I'm not saying your dad had a regular job, but like, you know, the kind of average or like, you know.
No, he had a good job. He was university graduated.
Yeah.
And at that time, again, it wasn't as common to be university graduated.
Right.
So obviously he had a little bit more of that, you know, advantage.
Yeah.
But he wasn't like fucking making millions.
Exactly. Whereas now though, in order to do that, to support a family, to, you know, support extended family, all this, like you have to be making
a lot of
so much money. Like you have to be like, I don't know, CEO or something. Millions a year. Maybe not quite that much, but like you need to be.
They had bought an apartment.
Yeah.
Before he moved here anyway. They had bought an apartment. Like, yeah. So like everything, like again, that was possible.
Yeah. Well, it's like they say, like even some of the shows that are continuing on now, I saw a meme that was about the Simpsons and it showed like the Simpsons household And I think I haven't watched The Simpsons in years, but
yeah.
Homer basically was a factory worker.
Right.
Like he went and worked at that fucking
True.
high danger
yeah.
factory or whatever. I don't think that Marge worked.
Did she work? I can't remember.
I can't remember. Guys, tell me if she did or not.
Was she a teacher? No.
I
Hold
can't
on,
remember.
wait, let me Google.
Yeah, Google it. Because I honestly don't remember her working. I think she was a stay-at-home mom. And
That would make sense because Simpsons is a pretty old show.
Yeah, and they had 3 kids. They had a single detached house, 2 stories, like a freaking garage, a car, the whole shebang.
It says she has been non-working for most of the series.
Yeah.
She had several episodes where she may have had a job, but
But overall, in and out of like random
That's
jobs
true.
and stuff. And he was, but when the show started, because The Simpsons started in like the 90s or maybe even the 80s.
I think it was quite maybe even the
like
80s.
late 80s, like early 90s, that kind of period. And at that time, you could be a factory worker and buy a house and support a family. Whereas now, there's no chance.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, there's no chance.
It's so crazy. Yeah.
So
now it's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, we don't know. We don't know what's gonna happen.
We fucked.
We may all have to just go live in a commune.
Yep. That's where we're heading.
What? Ironically, though, that usually may result in higher levels of happiness, because that's another problem, right? Even if you had the money, let's say, to have your own beautiful place and, live this like luxurious life, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be happy. Exactly. So oftentimes you might be isolated. You might be maybe you live on the fucking Hollywood Hills all by yourself in this giant mansion, like miserable as fuck. Like, how many rich people are miserable? A lot of them. A lot. So that's another thing. It's like something needs to shift, not just economically, but just like everything. It's like the construct of our society. It's the entirety of the society is so backwards. Yeah. Oh, goddamn.
And the root of all the evil, Rose?
Capitalism.
God damn.
Okay. Well, I heard about this story as well. Yeah. So this comes from somewhat of my motherland. The northern part of my motherland, North Korea. Well, okay, so I've known about this. Okay, so basically it's about this North Korean defector.
Yeonmi Parks.
Yeonmi. Her name is Yeonmi. Say it again, Daniel.
Yeonmi.
There you go.
Yeonmi
Park. And she... Okay, so she became famous.
Very famous.
A few years ago. Because she did this like speech. I can't remember where it was. But it was like a big stage. It was like UN or something crazy. Yeah. She did this giant speech where she's like crying and talking about her experience in North Korea. Yeah. Now, I'm not here to say that North Korea, I'm not here to defend North Korea.
Of course not.
But I have a lot of issues with a lot of these defectors because a lot of them, especially people that have become celebrities like this. Yeah. And so this is not a surprise to me, to be honest with you. Yeah. There was always an element in me that was like, there's something off about this story and this person. Well, this is what they're saying. They're saying that her story, like, again, is fabricated. Yeah. And they're saying that there's but like for people that do escape. Yes. And they get this kind of fame, their stories are kind of sensationalized. Well, let's think about it, shall we, guys? And again, let's put on our open-minded hats. Okay. The thing is, obviously, listen, North Korea is like South Korea, U.S.'s enemy. Okay? Yeah. South Korea, U.S. are on the same team, essentially. Yeah. So if somebody comes out of North Korea, escapes North Korea, and again, I'm not saying North Korea is good, okay? There's so many negatives about North Korea. Yeah. But let's say the same thing about all these other countries at the same time. Again, not equating the two. I can't. But I think a lot of the things that people sensationalize are made up. I truly do. I think there are many evil things about North Korea. But, of course, when your enemies... country, somebody from your enemy's country where everything is sheltered and we can't see inside of it comes out and tells some kind of story, you want that to like they want it to sound as bad as possible because we forget that we are also fed propaganda. Yeah. Okay, it's not just North Koreans, it's not just like Iran. It's not just these countries that are fed propaganda. We are also fed propaganda by these countries, by the countries that we live in. Same with US and same with South Korea. So of course, when somebody comes out as like, North Korea is the worst country like, maybe it is, but like when they come out with all these sensational stories, that's going to be pushed. And there's going to be incentives, probably monetary incentives as well. And I've read, I've listened to a lot of different types of interviews of people talking about this stuff. And I believe a lot of these defectors and their stories, they're never as sensationalized as this woman's stories have been.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of inconsistencies in her story.
That's what other people are saying. Yes. There's inconsistencies.
So many. She's been on Joe Rogan. She's been on fucking all of these random shows.
Yeah.
And even before she started being pushed by the right-wing people.
Yeah.
Like people were, even in Korea, they were talking about how like, you know, she's making shit up.
Yeah.
She's making shit up. Like, for example, she was on this Korean show many years ago before she was like famous. And basically she told a completely different story about her life in North Korea.
Yeah.
She is from North Korea, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it sounded like she was from a little bit more of an affluent family in North Korea.
Yeah, yeah.
And so she didn't experience half the things that she's talking about. And anyway, okay, let's read some of this.
Yeah. So the interesting thing that I find with this is that's part of it. A part of it is the inconsistencies. But the interesting thing I find with her, which I think is causing a lot of sensationalization right now, is she mentioned about how she's like very anti-woke culture.
Yes. And this is the new thing.
Yeah, this is the new thing. And this is why this story I think is resurfacing, because people of obviously the conservatives are eating it up because she's saying the liberal side, she's like, we're going too far in the US. Like, because she's in the US right now, I think it was the US.
Yes. And she's in the US. Yeah.
Warning that America is on the verge of a liberal dictatorship and that cancel culture in the at U.S. colleges is the first step forward toward North Korean style firing squads. It's the theme of her new book, While Time Remains.
This is how I know she's full of fucking shit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but if you actually survived the shit you did in North Korea, how are you literally with a straight face saying that woke cancel culture is basically on the way?
Squads.
Yeah. You guys, are you actually joking me? Like, if you survived what she's saying, like, what are some of her stories? Like, you can get one of the stories was like, you can get like, she watched like a public execution, which they do happen in North Korea.
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I heard.
That's so crazy.
There are public executions, but she said, it's because if you watch like a Hollywood movie, you will get like publicly executed. And then a lot of people debunked that and was like, first of all, even during the time that she was living there were no public executions, first of all. So like already false, something like this. Guys, don't quote me on some of this, but and the other thing was people were like, yes, there were public executions, but it wasn't because they were watching Hollywood movies. It was like other things. Again, not justifying public executions, but not.
There's just so many like inconsistencies.
Yes, and it's like, you know, so she was exaggerating so much, but if you were actually living through public executions, guys, you're comparing that to a bunch of college kids, like
woke culture,
talking about how we should protect LGBTQ rights. Like, is that how, like, it's insane. And of course the conservatives are just they are just drinking the fucking juice. Yeah. They are loving it. They're just injecting it into their veins.
Of course. And then she goes on further to say, North Korea is not even this nuts, Parks said in a 2021 podcast appearance.
No. This woman, I'm sorry. I cannot. That makes me so mad.
Yeah.
Like, and again, she's not comparing, for example, how bad, how do I say, I'm not defending US. That's not what I'm doing. Because the thing is, there are legitimate criticisms that you could say, being like, for example, the way that people live, you know, in a communist regime versus an extreme capitalist regime. Yeah. Whereas it may be completely different. At the end of the day, people still suffer. You can make comparisons like this, right? I feel like that's, you know, you can have discussions about how, you know, but to say that it's like woke culture. Yeah. That's comedic.
I know. But it's interesting because this is all coming out right around the time that she's releasing this new book.
Of course it is.
So like, I think there's obviously there's some method to her madness.
Well, she's doing a media tour. Yeah. She's been on all of these conservative, like Fox News. She's been on all these shows, and she's like talking about this like woke stuff. And of course, she's being pushed by these companies that love this type of conversation, like talking about anti-wokeness or whatever. Which is, God, you guys, these are grown-ass people talking about this.
It's crazy.
And you know, I'm also not a fan of people being overly sensitive and overly, you know, whatever, overly woke or whatever the fuck it is, okay? But I'm not going to sit here and say that is the same thing as North Korean
firing squads.
Like, are you actually fucking kidding me?
And talking about how this is the direction that we go to become basically like North Korea. Like...
I mean, if it wasn't so tragic, you know, I would laugh a bit harder. Yeah. The thing is, if you want to actually listen to like real North Korean defector stories, there are plenty of interviews on YouTube that aren't sensationalized by like Fox News, Joe Rogan, like all these fucking shows. There are so many amazing like interviews that are like super insightful. Like one of the ones, it's by the YouTube channel called Asian Boss, which I love.
Oh, I love Asian Boss.
Yeah, and they do these like really
kind of around, right?
They're still around. Okay, so they do like street interviews, but they also do like sit down like in-depth interviews. And they did one like many years ago where they interviewed 3 different North Korean defectors that lived in South Korea now for a few years. So they were like kind of like asking about their life in North Korea, and then like later on like how their experience has been in South Korea. And it's so fascinating because some of them had escaped there was like a big famine, I think in the 90s, where a lot of people like died because they were hungry.
Yeah.
There wasn't enough food. So a lot of people escaped during that time because obviously like it's either you fucking escape or die, right? Like of hunger. So you hear like all these horrific stories about like people dying of hunger and all these things. And one of the things that like really stood out to me, which again, this is the type of conversation that I want to be having about North Korea versus other countries. It's like one of the things that stood out to me was the interviewer had asked all 3 of these defectors. They were like, do you think you were happier in North Korea or do you think you're happier in South Korea? And like every single one of them said, I was happier in North Korea.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
I think I saw this interview.
I think either I told you about it or we talked about it.
I think I've seen it too because I do follow Asian Boss, and I remember part of the issue that they, and if I recall correctly, they were just saying because like South Korea is so like not westernized, but like
it's the
like,
other extreme.
It's like a rat race, right? Like it's like
it's the other extreme. Exactly. It's capitalism. It's the extreme capitalist extreme.
And people are like, holy fuck, like this is so intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I mean, it makes sense. And again, not saying one is better than the other. We're just criticizing both things, right? So I think one of the things about North Korea that might be because I also hate this notion that like everything about North Korea is just like awful and evil and everything, right? There's obviously certain aspects of it that are somewhat better than South Korea. If the 3 defectors like literally escaped North Korea says they were happier in North Korea. I think one of the aspects is the whole, they live a more like kind of traditional, like more community-based lifestyle. And it's not as driven by, like the rat race and just constantly competing. And like, there's a lot of loneliness there. In South Korea, people are very lonely and very depressed. So I think that's the kind of like comparison that we can make. This woman, I can't with this woman. No.
Unsubscribe.
Every time I saw her face on like fucking YouTube, it was like, oh, like I was like, fuck this. I cannot. There's something about her. I always fucking knew she was phony as shit.
Yeah.
Anyway, next story.
Goddamn.
We got lots of stories.
This be our last story of the episode.
Oh, God. Oh,
and this would be depressing as hell.
I told Daniel he's only allowed to pick one doom and gloom story.
Yeah.
I assume this is the one.
This is the one. So I don't know that much about ocean currents, okay?
Oh, I heard about this story.
All I know is that they are crucial. They are fucking crucial for a number of reasons. And I think, again, I might miss some of the reasons, but a lot of it is, if you think about how the ocean currents work, it moves like, hot water and it helps circulate the temperature. It regulates temperature, but also it moves around nutrients as well, right? Like think about like the nutrients in the ocean that are floating around. It helps kind of disperse it around. And they were also saying like, this is why the oceans, we cannot underestimate the value and how important oceans are, because even they were saying how oceans sustain like, well, they sustain the earth, obviously, but like even like coastal environments, a lot of the nutrients that they get are recycled from the ocean, right?
Right.
And there's this whole current within the ocean that recycles like ingredients from the bottom as well, and like bringing stuff all around and mixing it all around.
Right.
So anyway, don't know that much about currents. All I know is they're fucking important.
You know a lot, Daniel.
Yeah, goddamn.
Lord Jesus.
I'd be a currentologist. Okay, currentologist.
You did study biology.
I did for one semester. So the Atlantic Ocean current sorry, let me start that again.
Okay.
The Atlantic Ocean current could collapse soon. Goddamn. How you may endure dramatic weather changes.
I mean, we're already experiencing it. I saw a bunch of videos about this and how it's become basically it's just bad.
It's very bad. Now, this could be the very first sentence of the article. Now, this could be something to really worry about.
Oh,
like we're not worried about everything else.
As if we need another thing.
Yeah. So they call it the Atlantic Meridional Overturning Circulation.
Oh, Lord Jesus.
AMOC by short.
AMOC.
A large system of ocean currents that carry warm water from the tropics into the Atlantic Ocean could collapse by the middle of the century or possibly any time from 2025 onward because of human-caused climate change.
Oh, God. Could possibly collapse.
Yeah. So it would just like stop. I don't know exactly what would happen.
How does that work?
I don't know.
Such a collapse could trigger rapid weather and climate changes in the US, Europe, and elsewhere. If it were to happen, it could bring about an ice age in Europe.
What the fuck?
And sea level rise in cities such as Boston, New York, as well as more potent storms. I mean, let's be honest, though.
And hurricanes along the East Coast.
Al Gore said it already.
I know.
In The Inconvenient Truth, he said basically like all of these coastal cities might be underwater.
Yep. It could also lead to drastically reduced amounts of rain and snowfall across the central and western U.S. So that's
earlier studies about the AMOC collapse drew comparisons to the scientifically inaccurate 2004 disaster movie The Day After Tomorrow, which used such an ocean current shutdown as I didn't know that was the premise of the film.
Me neither.
Have you seen The Day After Tomorrow?
I have not.
It's the one where like basically New York City like basically like becomes ice, and like it's about like extreme climate change.
Yeah,
Obviously,
yeah.
it's not realistic.
Well,
Who
is
knows? And then it says, oh, Lord Jesus, we estimate a collapse of the AMOC to occur around mid-century under the current scenario of future emissions. Okay, so mid-century meaning 20,
so like that would be like, I think is mid-century.
Century is 100 years,
so it'd be 2050. Yeah. But they said it could start as early as 2025. It also says the AMOC collapse is one of several dangerous climate, quote unquote, tipping points scientists say are possible because of climate change.
Yeah, because we've already reached a tipping point. I can't remember exactly what it was, where it's basically like we're basically fucked. Like there's no way around it, kind of thing. It's just a matter of time. Like I can't remember the actual thing. It was like,
so
yeah,
we just need to live our lives and enjoy our lives to the fullest.
You mean just fuck it all?
And well, I mean, have we reached a point of no return? Like, are we all just going to be fucked?
Well,
and die?
I mean, I don't know, Daniel.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there's ways of, like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Damn.
And okay, let's see if the AMOC is a crucial conveyor belt for ocean water and air, which creates weather. Warm, salty water moves north from the tropics along the Gulf Stream off the U.S. East Coast to the North Atlantic, where it cools, sinks, and heads south. The faster it moves, the more water is turned over from warm surface to cool depths. The cycle keeps Northern Europe several degrees warmer than it would otherwise. So basically, it's like nature's fucking, AC and heating unit.
Yes.
Okay. So this is like fucking Mother Nature at its finest.
Yeah.
And we have shit all over it.
Yep. You can see all the currents here. It's kind of fucking crazy when you see all the
It's absolutely insane how cool this is.
I know.
And it's also insane how much we fucked it up.
Yeah. Because like our planet is it's a sensitive ecosystem.
Apparently it is.
And there's so many things going on. You have the currents, you have the rivers, you have the like weather patterns. You have so many different things that are helping support life as we know it on the planet.
Yeah.
And as we start to fuck with this shit,
which we have done for the last while. So it says, using new statistical tools and ocean temperature data from the past 150 years, researchers calculated that the AMOC will stop with 95% certainty between 2025 and 2095. 95% certainty.
Yep. So it could be in our lifetime.
Easily.
Yeah.
95% certainty?
Yeah.
So is there anything we can do? So essentially, we need to lower greenhouse gas emissions.
Yeah.
Like severely.
Like now.
Like immediately.
Yeah.
Which we're not doing. So basically, greenhouse gas emissions cause global warming, which speeds the melting of the Greenland ice. The melted fresh water entering the North Atlantic can then disrupt the AMOC, potentially causing major climate disruptions. When the increased meltwater from Greenland enters North Atlantic, it's fresh water, which is lighter than the salty seawater around it. This excess fresh water can disrupt the normal sinking of the salty water, weakening or even shutting down the AMOC. If the AMOC collapses, it can have far-reaching effects on weather patterns and ocean currents, leading to significant climate changes. So essentially, like, we need to like stop greenhouse gas emissions.
Yes.
Like,
or
stop
like
it.
severely bring them down. Guys, are we fucked?
Oh my God, I don't know.
God damn, the AMOC is going to collapse.
The doom and gloom.
God damn. So I just want to leave everyone on that positive note. You know,
of course you saved it to the end.
I did, yeah. I thought it would be a nice one to finish with.
Oh, Lord Jesus, you guys.
We all doomed?
Give us some hope, everyone. Somebody give us some level of hope.
Yeah.
I don't know what to do.
God damn, it'd be scary as all
People
hell.
still keep having children.
Mm-hmm. People still be eating meat.
People still be eating meat.
God damn.
I don't know. What are we supposed to do? People still buying super yachts.
Oh, don't even get me started
Oh
on
my
super
God.
yachts.
Do we need to like go to Mars? Like, is that the plan?
And then kill that planet too?
Well, the universe is infinite.
We're the human race is like a cancer that spreads.
We really are a cancer. We are literally parasites.
Yeah.
We are cancer to this planet.
We're killing
We
our
are
host.
literally killing the host.
Which is wild.
Which is absolutely wild. And we are supposedly the smartest species on this planet, which is also very ironic. Anyway, on that positive note, guys, we have no happy news after this story.
Yeah. Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of the SaVeg Podcast. If you're not already, if you're watching on YouTube, give this video a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe. Give us some comments in the comment section below. Tell us give us some positive news down there about how maybe there's things we can do to prevent the AMOC to collapse in the next like 50 years.
Oh my God.
I know, fucking crazy. If you're not already, obviously check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/the SaVeg Podcast. And whatever podcast platform you are listening to us on, don't forget to hit that follow button.
Yes, guys. Oh, and we forgot to mention in the beginning is that we are doing a trip to Costa Rica in January.
If Rose doesn't kill me first.
If you want to see us bicker in person,
then come to Costa Rica. It's going to be a great time.
So there will be a link in the show notes or the description. And you can sign up to come and do a little vegan trip to Costa Rica.
Yay.
We can hang out together, eat vegan food together, talk about climate change together.
Yes, we definitely can. I'm very passionate about that topic. So
and cry together.
Yes,
that's the plan.
That is the plan.
So come to Costa Rica in January. We're actually going to Thailand and Bali in a week.
Oh God damn! We literally
if
are
I don't
leaving.
Kill Daniel until then.
Yeah, we're leaving this day, Monday.
Yes.
In a week.
So guys, come with us to Costa Rica. It'll be so fun.
It will.
And we will talk to you guys next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you guys. Bye.